Yes. Very cool. All right. Thursday night live session. Mike's working. Cool. Thursday night live because um well, I'm busy tomorrow night. Family is coming in town. And also things might change, things might switch up because I just recently got a job. And so these might start happening on Wednesday night or Thursday night. I'm not really sure yet, but it's gonna be good. Yeah, yeah. So stoked for this. Let's see. And how are you guys doing? The three that are watching. What's going on in your worlds? Let me hear it. Two that are watching. All right. Well, I mean, I can just sit here. No problem. Wow, I finally made it with not being yeah, man. Yeah, Thursday night live. This is a first, but we'll see how it goes. Glad that you made a comment. Glad that you made it, and stoked that you're here. As we're starting. That's sweet. Let's see how many other people join in. Yeah. So the topic for tonight, the philosophy of religion and non-religion, because it just reminded me of what I mentioned briefly in my podcast, and that I've also done more research on, and I'm going to make a vlog about it next week. I'm thinking is this whole idea, this whole hello, Gandhi, hello Gandhi, this whole idea of this spectrum of belief and non-belief. Um, Belief and non-belief being, there's theism, atheism, and everything in between, whatever agnosticism, whatever. Um, but I'm starting to look at, there's like kind of the philosophy of religion, and then a philosophy of atheism, and then different scales, different, you can divide up different philosophies in that. But I'm starting to look at the entire scale and just look at the philosophy of what this entire scale of religion and non-religion is doing. And I think that it's created this system that's kind of busted. um and so, yeah, just wanted to chat about that, hear your all's response to those thoughts, especially if you listen to the podcast called God Needs to Die. My first comment on that was that I am the Antichrist. So that was a fun comment to get. Yes, Thursday Night Live. So, which I forgot to take this before live, but yeah, Thursday Night Live. I got family coming into town tomorrow night. And so, I'm doing it tonight just so I have time with family. So there's that. Mm. 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 As bad as Freetro's as Shaq? What? You're a wolf in sheepskin clothing. I haven't gotten that comment yet, because I know you're joking, or I think you're joking. I assume you're joking. But why you take meds? I got chronic Lyme disease. So got diagnosed 2 years ago. I've talked about it before on my channel, but yeah, got diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease 2 years ago. And so I need medication to kill that junk. Yeah, I know you're joking. I mean, ABC, come on. ABC 123. You've been here long enough. I know you're joking, especially with that face. What up, kiddo? Oh man, kiddo. How old are you? um, I am decent. I'm doing well, man. I just got a job, which is good because I need the money, but which sucks because it takes away time that I could be doing a lot more for YouTube and music. But it is what it is. So yeah, I might start doing these lives, more often than just Friday nights, or not more often, just on different days than Friday nights, because I might be working Friday nights. So it is what it is. What is that? Lyme disease? What is Lyme disease? It is a disease that you can get from insects, specifically a tick. And they inject little microbes into your body that kill your gut, destroy your immune system. It's an autoimmune disorder. So your immune system basically is taught from these little microbes that are scrambled throughout your entire body and inside your cells to destroy your immune system and to have the immune system destroy itself. So it's a struggle, but yeah. Is Lyme disease widely recognized by most doctors yet? No, it is not. You got to pay a lot of money, as I do, to find good doctors to treat Lyme disease well. I'm there with you, man. Just got hired at a job yesterday. Cool. Damn fuck ticks hate that. Yeah, man. Those things are terrible. Hi, Emily. What's going on? Make a wish. 11:11. 11:11. Well, it is 6:12 my time right now, so I missed it. But I can still make a wish. How you doing, Emily? Have you been on live chat before? Uh, Getting back to the topic, what do you think religion is holding us back as humans? Oh, wait. Do you think religion is holding us back as humans? I think religion is absolutely holding us back as humans. There is this whole train of thought that, we need religion to, or some sort of organized something to start out, and then we move away from it, or that, religion hasn't been all bad, religion has done good things. And I would suggest that it's not religion that's done any of it, but any of the good that has been done has been legitimate spirituality, that has, made its way through the darkness of religion, if you will. And so I don't see I don't see any good in religion and in organized religious thinking. I I haven't seen it, don't see it. So I think religion is not only holding, individuals back, because of ridiculously crazy dogmatic beliefs, that can either seriously damage you. Well, in regards to religion, yes, that seriously damage you. So absolutely, it's holding you back. And even, but the world at large is completely holding the world at large back from a number of things. And I would say holding the world at large back because religion is a main cause of war, if you haven't noticed. And so I'm curious. I mean, the answer will never be certain. The answer will never be for sure. But if a organized religion, and I'm not just talking about Christianity, I'm talking about organized religion with organized religion in general, would war be a thing? Would war exist? Would war happen? That's what I should say. Not whether it would exist, but would war happen? Um, from the looks of it, I don't think so. So yeah, I think religion is definitely holding people back. Hello from Romania. What's going on, man? Hello. Oh God, that didn't help anything. You turn something down because my yeah, I think that worked. So I think whenever you as a species fight science and believe in things that are more faith based than science based, any society or species such as us humans will be held back. Now, so I agree with that. And then you say basing your reality of science over faith is always the best for a society. I agree and disagree with that. I think science, um, honestly, when you look at the definition of religion and what religion is, which is this box of set beliefs that says this is how you need to live your life, this is how you're supposed to live your life, because it is good for you, or because it will help make you a better person, or whatever that may be. Um, you know, I this statement is I agree and disagree with this as well, but this is what comes to mind is that if you look at science as something that grounds you in morality, then you're also treating science as a religion. And I say that, because people use, different moral arguments with, like moral lands or um, morality, if based in science. I guess morality is not the right way to put it. Morality is not what I'm trying to. I'm basically saying science can also become some sort of religion. I think so. If science becomes a religion, I'm not talking about morality, because I mean I'm going back to the what I how I view morality, and I'm like, well, I guess it is science based and evolutionary based, which I totally agree with that. I think if you're looking at science as the ceiling, science as this is all that there is and this is all that will be, then I think even science can hold you back. It's most of the people that have made significant scientific discoveries were people that had an element of faith, were people that had an element of hope, were people that dreamed. And so if you let science, be your only, belief in something, then I think that's also going to hold you back. And I think religion does the same exact thing. So, um, yeah. But so I think I agree with that statement, and I also disagree with it, because science, both can hold you back. That's basically what I'm saying. What's up, Element X? What's going on? I think most of racism and hate is caused by religion coming from a country that is home for 18 different religions and sects. Yeah. Um, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Don't disagree with that at all. Will you ever read into other religions like Islam? I've looked into Islam. I've looked into all the major religions briefly. I haven't gone in depth, but I've gone to understand, what's their basic belief and why they believe what they believe. What's their end goal, if there is one? What are they trying to do? What are they not trying to do? All that kind of stuff. I've looked into, all of the major religions in the world, for that matter, but obviously I know Christianity best because it's what I grew up with and it's what I knew for 22 years of my life. So humans needed religion to strive as a species. If religion didn't exist, the human species is too dumb to control itself from extinction. But as time passed, religion became a burden. I, I, I mean, is that? is that your opinion, or is that based on any evidence? Because I don't see that. In what I've found, what I've discovered, how I view things from what I've seen, I don't see that as truth. Yeah, I don't see that as true. Why not believe in something before death? Why believe in something before death? I mean, yeah. I Why not? Why believe in it? I don't know. I think that gets into the topic of what is belief, and that's a longer topic. I agree. Having one belief and closing your kind to solely that can limit anyone. There is something magical about being an inquisitive person, always trying to discover, learn religion and or science. Closing your mind. Yep, totally agree, Emily. Totally agree. I think you give the human species enough. I don't think you give the human species enough credit. We are not too dumb to control ourselves from extinction without religion. Are you talking to me, or are you talking to Demain? I'm pretty sure you're talking to Demain, because I agree with what you just said, Simba. If you read into philosophy, the philosophy of Aristotle, talking about moral and virtues came before monotheism became a thing. So we don't need religion to control ourselves. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have read Aristotle. Uh, so, and I like Aristotle a lot. Not many artists are open about their religion belief. All I can remember is that Justin Bieber always talks about God and Christianity. Yeah, Justin Bieber is very open about his religion and his belief, and me as well. I'm very open about my non beliefs and my journey. And I'm a musical artist. Hey, my latest single that was released on June 1st, yesterday it was at 52 streams. Today it's at 103. So somebody's going hard with my new single, and I'm stoked about it. I'm like, keep going, keep it up. Who is Aristotle? Look him up, Google him. He's a good guy. What do you think of astrology? I watched a talk with Aaron Abke and Aaron Tomlinson today about Christianity and astrology, and it was super interesting. I have watched that talk, and it is incredible. I took notes on the entire thing. The more I look into astrology, the more actually the more that I watch Aaron's videos, Aaron Abke's videos. There's some stuff that he says that I don't understand and that I can't relate to, and I don't know what to do, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not buying that. But astrology, no, I'm totally buying it. Like even the science behind it is, and I just know from looking at how it operates, how it works, the meanings behind all of it. I'm just like, when I've looked at it for myself, I'm like, this is wow, this is the most accurate personality test I have ever taken. And it has to do with nature, and it has to do with how the stars literally were aligned when I was born in their own way, which is crazy to me to think about. But I have not done in-depth study, but from what I have looked into, I'm like all for it. Good work. Do you think there's other beings in the universe like aliens or some sort? No. I don't know, because we can't we I don't we're not going to know what's all out there in the universe, but um I don't think so, but it's a possibility. The thing with astrology is it's like a fortune cookie. It's vague enough to that it fits everyone. So that comment, Simba, is just it just shows me that you haven't actually looked into it in depth. Because when you start to look at in depth into it, it's like it's not general. Um, the sun signs that everyone talks about, like I was born in August, so I'm a Leo, that kind of thing. That is very general. But when you start looking at, where the moon was, or where Saturn was, or where Venus was, or what happens in the day or the night, or what all these other things, then it becomes a lot less general and a lot more detailed, and it's pretty amazing. And insects as aliens. What do you think about religion and finding thy purpose? Thy purpose. That's funny. I don't think religion has to be used to find your purpose. I don't think religion I don't okay. Religion in regarding to depending on that to find your purpose, it's a circle and it's a dead end. I've mentioned it many, 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 many times on this channel. And I'll say it again, is that I am under the belief that has it's set me free in a lot of ways. The principle, the belief, whatever you want to call it, that our purpose has nothing to do with what we do. Our purpose is who we are. And oftentimes, religion, when you're looking at religion to find your purpose, you're always looking for what to do. You're always looking to, how do I want to pray, or how do I want to help the world achieve some sort of salvation, or how can I be a better person? It's always looking at the doing. But spirituality actually looks at who you are as an individual. And so I think, in regards to, if you're looking at religion and researching what religion to follow because you want to have some sort of greater purpose in life, of something that you're going to do, how do you want to go about life? And that's, a way that you want to fulfill your purpose. I think if you're trying to find your purpose in that regard, you're not going to find it. It's going to be a dead end. It's going to be very circular. You're going to find that you keep reaching dead ends in that. But if you start to focus on yourself and who you are, and bettering who you are, then I think that you'll realize how much of a gift that you are to the world, and the things that, the lessons you learn, the person you become. Once you start to learn to love yourself and look at yourself as a gift, then you learn, oh, wait, my purpose is just fully embracing me and being myself and letting the world experience that. Because if you believe that you're a great person, then you're going to do great things. And, you actually shed light into the darkness. That's I think the highest calling, the highest purpose that you can have. And your purpose is being yourself. Your purpose is being yourself in the fullest. And so, people can kind of look at religion to do that, but that's not what they do. And that's not what religion really does. Religion will just bind you and put you in this circle of thinking, and really just create this dogmatic belief, religion, this pretty little package called religion. But if you're looking, inside rather than outside, inside yourself for your purpose, I think you'll find it. And again, your purpose is not what you do. Your purpose is who you are. And if you're looking at religion to fulfill that purpose, you're not going to find it. It's just not going to be there. We can't have Pepsi and Coke in the same restaurant. What? Yeah, you can. Do you think that without a supreme ruler, early humans would let their ego aside? Why not? Our ego is our species' biggest enemy. Yeah, sure. I don't see why they wouldn't put the ego aside. Do you think Judgment Day is close? What is your concept of Judgment Day? Do you consider insects and animals as aliens? No. What up, Misfits? What's going on, James? Glad you're here. What does misfit mean? Well, if something fits in place, you're a part of the system. You're a part of your culture. You're a part of your world. You fit in place. You have a place, because you say, this is who I am. This is where I fit. This is the exact, this is exactly who I am, what it looks like, all of it. Misfit is like, well, I don't fit in your, cultural, dogmatic, religious, philosophical view that you're trying to put me in. I don't fit inside this box. I'm just trying to be me, and I'm trying to be my own person. So that to me is what misfit means, and maybe that's because I'm an Enneagram number 4. Anybody who knows Enneagram knows what I mean by that. So, what up, dude? Stuts. People that don't fit, so basically Hitler. Well, don't you don't you believe that the worst thing that could happen to us is to find sentient alien life, basically intelligent alien life, because as history tells us, whenever a superior nation or in case species met the colonies that are inferior gets colonized, I don't think alien life would come in peace. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would either. I don't know if that was a question to me or somebody else, but I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I've been reading about astrology all day, mainly my own sun sign, moon sign, and ascent sign. It is incredibly mind blowing how accurate it is. That's what I'm saying, man. The more I look into it, the more my mind is absolutely blown. If you really dive into it, I think you can learn a lot about yourself. This is very true. Hey, how are you tonight? I am good. Ready for this live stream. Ready to have some deep talk. Hey, you're Taylor, what's going on, man? Dude, I'm going to text you or call you later because I have a question to ask you. But dude, so stoked that you're here, man. Love when my buddies from ministry school show up. Me and Taylor are basically on the same journey. Well, not the same journey, but similar. Taylor, super stoked that you're here, man. Maybe you can inform some of these people about what's up. I don't know. How do you think the pyramids were made, and why can't we replicate it now with all of our tech and intelligence decades and centuries later? I have no idea, but here's the first thing that comes to mind. Is that I through it was like heard it from this person, also heard it from this person, also heard it from this person, that there's the book of Enoch, right? That was not a canon book in the Bible. And there's a lot of theories, a lot of conspiracies regarding Enoch and the things that he did. And one of those is that Enoch was the one who made the pyramids. That Enoch, with angels, he made the pyramids with angels. And in the Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. It talks about, I think if I remember this correctly, it mentions Enoch, and it mentions actually the pyramids are like in a weird way how I heard it from this. Obviously he was a preacher, obviously he was spirit-filled Christian charismatic guy, but he was talking about how inside the pyramid it's like a physical representation of the gospel story. And so I have no idea who made the pyramids. I don't know if it was Enoch making the pyramids with angels or aliens or what. I find it super interesting, and I find it, that fact that we can't make it, we can't replicate it or make it today because, it's who knows? I don't know. What is it? Yeah, it intrigues me, but I have no theory other than that story that I heard. That's not even my story. That's just the first thing that comes to mind, honestly. Am I being some sort of nihilist person and becoming some sort of nihilist person? So what's your thoughts about it? You're becoming a nihilistic person? I don't really have any thoughts, just why? Especially if you know it too. Good to be here, dude. Well, I'm glad you're here, man. Um, what about quantum mechanics? That's some good stuff. Quantum mechanics is absolutely great stuff, especially when looking at you know, um, relativity, Einstein's relativity theory, and then how that relates to string theory and wow, now I forget the name for it, quantum entanglement, and quantum physics, and the whole collapsible waveform and all that kind of stuff. Super intriguing. And it gives some, for me, when I hear it from my background, it gives some sort of scientific explanation to something that could be spiritual. But I don't know. I mean, I find it super interesting. I've loved researching it and looking at all that stuff. So I just recently made the decision to start moving away from Christianity. Good for you. And just happened to discover your channel at the same time. Any words of encouragement moving forward? Oh man, that is a big question. Well, I can say that you're at the right place. Um, the hardest thing for me, and I know for a lot of people that can attest to coming out of religion, the Christianity, coming, all of it, that's starting to deconstruct religion. The hardest thing in it all is that you can feel so unbelievably alone through all of it. I have that feeling, all the time. In that no one understands you, and that, are you going crazy? Is it weird that you're thinking like this? Whatever the case may be. I don't know if you're feeling those things or not. I just know that this is how I've felt. And so finding a community of people that are like-minded, or just connecting with one or two friends that you can be in conversation with and go through this journey with, is so freaking helpful and so beneficial, that you're not doing it alone. I mean, weirdly, the one of the only benefits that I saw to my entire upbringing in church is that I had a family. I had people around me, and now I don't have that, in my surroundings. And it's so, I don't know your story in it, but I know for me, it's felt like a grieving process, like God himself died, and so, or is dying, whatever the case. But it can be incredibly lonely. So my words of encouragement for you, is to find community, and that's why I say I'm glad you're here, because there's a lot of like-minded people on this live chat, and also on my Discord channel, and also just watching my videos and commenting and stuff. There's a lot of like-minded people here, as well as other channels. There's plenty of other channels on YouTube that have that. So finding community, also knowing that you're not alone, and knowing that you are like, I think a huge something for me that I have to keep telling myself is like, I'm not doing something wrong. Like, this isn't wrong, that I'm questioning, that I'm doubting, that I'm not believing, that I'm skeptical, that I'm even going, towards, agnosticism or atheism, and I'm exploring that. It's not wrong. I mean, a lot of people will say what they will and be like, "Oh no, you're good, you're fine," and it's like I say, wow, okay, that coming out like a Christian believing person would say, no, yeah, doubt, question, do all that, and then you tell them what you're researching, and they're like, ooh, don't go there, don't do that, and it's like, okay, what's that about? But just know that you're not in the wrong, you know, um, and so you're not alone, and you're not in the wrong. So follow your gut, follow your heart. But just remember, just because you're leaving behind whatever it may be, Jesus, God, your religion, just because you're leaving that behind, doesn't give you a right to be an asshole. So remember that too. Because if you turn into an asshole, then you might as well just go back to what that's that no. Don't go back to what you were doing. But because that wasn't working out either. But I can guarantee you being an asshole won't work out for you either. So that's my advice to you. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps somebody. But yeah, that's what I would say. That's my advice to you. Oh boy, now I'm gonna have a bunch of comments. Good to be. Oh, I already read that. Did you come? How did you come about with your channel's name? Is it's probably exactly what you thought. Probably exact, started studying philosophy, started deconstructing religion, didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. Philosophical misfit, just worked. Oh, Matt, this is good. Matt. Matt's the one who called me the Antichrist today. What do you think about the thought that there being no afterlife actually makes us appreciate and enjoy this life and all its beauty rather than basing your life entirely on, maybe there is or isn't an afterlife? Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have any other thought besides I absolutely agree with that. And, I think that is one of the huge lessons that I look at religion or I look at Christianity, look at spirituality, and I'm just like, man, everybody is trying desperately to get to this afterlife, to get to this, what, heaven on earth, to get to out of body something. And I'm preaching to the choir when I say this as well. That I'm speaking to myself. That people are just trying to go somewhere else when it's just like, looking into atheism, atheists, because they, have to in their worldview, which isn't a bad thing, come into this principle of, making appreciating, like you're saying, appreciating and enjoy this life and all of its beauty day by day, moment by moment, with the people you're with, just appreciating life. You have in spiritual people, religious people, you got a lot, and this is very general. This isn't for everybody, but this is what I generally see, is that a lot of them are so focused on the spiritual, so focused on getting somewhere or doing something, that if they forget to look at what is right there in front of them and to appreciate that and to have gratitude for that, and to there's actually joy in that. That is one of those atheistic principles that I'm like, I absolutely love it. Um, and I say atheistic, somebody might hear me say that and say, well, it's not atheistic. It came from this or that, or, spiritual people can have that too, and whatever. And, they're right. But the people that I see that actually do something about it, that actually practice that principle. It's not just a principle. It's not just a good thought, but the people that actually have to put it into practice because their worldview requires it are atheists. And that's why yes, there's a lot of atheists that are, jerks, but there are also plenty of atheists that are a lot more loving and caring than, the average religious or spiritual person, because they have that principle in life. And that's just, it's so needed. And that's why I say you can't look at this spectrum of theism, atheism, and there's agnosticism and everything in between, all of that, all the gray area, the black and white. You can't look at this and then say, like, okay, well, this is right, this is wrong. And it's like there are truths through all of it that can be applied through your daily life that I think would be absolutely beneficial. And so, that's why I got a huge problem with, I guess people that are like, people that just look at it as right and wrong, people that look at it as black and white. And I'm like, there's so much gray and there's so much goodness in the gray. There's so much good stuff. There's so much truth, and there's so much that can be applied to your everyday life in that gray area. And so, that's like, I don't prescribe to the worldview, or I don't look at myself as an atheist, but I take that principle and I'm like, I want to listen to atheists and hang out with atheists and, have relationship with atheists that practice that and that have that worldview and that put that into being, because I want to be like that. I want to live my life like that. I want to have gratitude for the present moment, for everyday life, for this life, not just looking out and, about the afterlife, or about, trying to go somewhere else. I think that's a massive, a huge value that humanity can benefit from that is very well practiced by atheists. Many people might disagree with that, but I just think that's I think that's the truth of the matter of what's going on. Say something. Some say that without an afterlife, uh, love those lies, but gotta go. Hope to catch you in another one. All right, Gandhi. Peace. What are your thoughts on the idea that guilt is a virtue? Uh, I don't have any thoughts on that. I don't have any thoughts on that because I have not experienced that. I don't think guilt is a virtue. Um, I haven't experienced that, and maybe if you have some sort of resource that points me to somebody who really does think that, I'm very curious. But I don't think that guilt is a virtue. Have you heard of the naked pastor? No, I have not. Damn, I'm getting some good conversation out of you, Nate. That's what's up. Um, what are some things you wish you knew before starting your YouTube channel and documenting your journey? And what would you change if you could? One might be making it on the same page as your video reacts. Um, I would say some things that not that I knew. I mean, I learn. I've been learning through this whole YouTube journey, this whole YouTube channel. Um, I would say one thing that I wish I would have started doing earlier on is just being myself. You watch so many other people on YouTube and you're like, this works, that works, that works, so you try to adopt the things that they do, and it's like, just be yourself, man. Like that's when I felt like I started gaining traction, was when I actually started being super honest and vulnerable and open and just documenting my journey, and just being myself, not being afraid. And I still, honestly, honest to God, I know I say that, but I still feel like I have not fully open wide to everyone who I am, which I like and I don't like. I mean, I yeah, it's just something I haven't felt like I've fully like conversations that I have with people in private are a lot different than what I share on. They're not a lot different. I just use more colorful wording and I have very strong opinions that I don't always place on YouTube. I said you're antichrist. I know you did. I mean, look at the title of his last video. People saw it. People liked it too. Did you watch the video? Have you watched any of his other videos? You're going to call somebody antichrist based on the title of one video. That seems IDK antichrist. Yeah. Oh man. Brady Kelly, what's going on, man? Nicole, glad that you could join us. How you doing? Brady Kelly, hey, what's up? Didn't know streams were on Thursdays now. Did you change your schedule? My schedule is changing. I got family coming into town tomorrow night, and so I decided to do live stream tonight. But my schedule is changing because I just recently acquired a job. YouTube and the studio is not paying enough. So I acquired a job, and so these live streams might be. I'll hopefully let people know at the beginning of the week, but they'll be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, something like that. Maybe Thursdays. Yeah, we'll see. I have a Christian friend who believes he can't even love himself. I don't know. It just seems to me that a lot of Christians seem to think guilt is a virtue. Alan Watts has talked about it. Man, I can't even understand that. People that think guilt is an actual virtue. It just doesn't make any sense to me in the least bit at all. Yeah, and see, that's, the name of that video, God Needs to Die. Like, obviously, Matthew, you didn't listen to the podcast. Like, that's just a given. If you're still here on live chat, it's just a given. The only reason you said I was the Antichrist is because you didn't listen to the video. You didn't listen to the podcast. So it's just super, I don't know. It's just typical of fundamentalists. So, yeah. Damn, I wish I had a reset button. You do. You can watch the first 45 minutes of this live stream, later. When this quest started for me, I realized that people have blocked in their mind that what they believe is true, and they find explorations for things that they can't prove only to fit their story. You're exactly right. Yeah, and I mean that's confirmation bias. That is, the placebo, nocebo effect, all that junk. Not junk. That's just what happens. That's the science of all of it. So yeah, I mean, it's just like, oh, that doesn't fit my belief system, so that's not true. And then it's like, oh, that fits, so that is true. And that's just it's a very, oh man, what's that theory of truth? It's a philosophical term. I did an entire series on the philosophy of truth. Damn it. What is it? There is not pragmatic. Coherence theory, the coherence theory of truth. Oh, that coheres, that doesn't. Yeah. Taylor, guilt is not a virtue. Doesn't mean it can't be beneficial. It helps you move forward, but staying there is a slippery slope to shame. Yeah, no, 100% agree, Taylor. Couldn't have said it better. And I mean, now that I think about it, I guess my thoughts on that whole thing of guilt being a virtue, not being a virtue, or just along the lines of what you're saying, is that it's like something that I noticed when I was at the ministry school that I went to. Is I remember one time in this, they're called revival groups. Yeah, I know. I know what a number of you might think about that, but that's what they're called. So I remember this one time that we were having a revival group session, and this speaker who is a author that is at the church where it was, who many well known. His dad was very well known as well. He came in and he was very open and vulnerable. And he was talking to us that he still had shame and he still felt guilt. And it was one of the most discouraging things that I had heard, because it was somebody that I looked up to, and yet he obviously, he was older than me. Obviously he had been in this culture for years and years and years. And he's like, I still struggle with shame. I still struggle with guilt. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why? Like, shouldn't there be an end to that at some point? Like, is this something that you're always forever going to struggle with? Like, the more that I think about it, the more that I look at it in the whole religious mindset. And really what it stems from is the doctrine of original sin, that you are a bad person. You are inherently a bad person ever since the fall of Adam and Eve. And there's more doctrinated beliefs that I have issues with. But what that cycle stems from, is this belief that you are a bad person. And so no matter how much help you get, no matter how much spiritual healing you go through, no matter how much whatever, if you have this belief that even when you're saved, that you're going to fall into temptation, you're going to fall into sin, the devil is around every corner, you are always going to end up back at that point of feeling shame and guilt because you still believe inherently that you're a bad person, and that you're always going to slip and fall to the dark side. Um, and it's just like, it's so toxic. It's so horrible for the psyche. And it just creates this cycle that is so unbelievably destructive, that just continually puts you in guilt and shame. And, like Taylor is saying, I don't think I agree with him. Guilt is not a virtue, but it doesn't mean it can't be beneficial. Like, if you feel that guilt and shame, it should be a red flag to you that there is like, if it's constantly coming back to you, it should be a red flag that there is something wrong going on inside of you. And so something needs to, there's a lie in place, there's a belief that needs to change. But and some people get it, some people don't get it. But if you keep finding yourself coming back to that point of shame and guilt, then it should be a sign to you that it's like, there might be a way that I'm going about this, and there might be a belief that I have in life or something like that, that is creating this cycle that is enabling me and allowing me to keep on going through this time and time again. And it was, just so going back to that guy that was speaking in, the group that I was a part of. That's why it was just so because I was like, why, this dude is, I forget how old he was, I don't know, 40 something, something like that. But I was 20, 19 at the time, and I was like, dude is clearly in a cycle that I don't want to be in. I don't want to be in my whole life. And so I know he was saying it to try to encourage us, because he was like, be an example of being vulnerable. But I'm like, dude, like, I don't understand. And that's also, the guy that you were talking about, Shaler, in your earlier comment, talking about, how your friend somehow finds it virtuous to not love himself. Like, that still goes back to those doctrinated beliefs, in my opinion, of, original sin. And, that most people come into religion out of fear. And they think, like, even, I mean, that to me, that person that, doesn't think it's even right to love himself, just goes to show how indoctrinated and how deep he's been indoctrinated or gone into this belief that he's a bad person, even to a point where he can't love himself, because to love himself would mean to love something bad. I mean, how is that not like destructive? Not especially to yourself, but spreading that message. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to me, man. Children always ask why, but adult lose that power. Although that is the way that they find truth. Yeah, go listen to his podcast, Matthew. Then come back. Yeah, for real. I think guilt is a virtue. It's like, if you steal stranger's wallet and you don't feel bad about it, that it's wrong, you should have guilt. I think guilt and empathy for others goes hand in hand. Or if you cheat and win a race, taking steroids against others, worked hard, then you should feel guilty. Um, I wouldn't say that's guilt. I would say that's conviction. There's a difference between shame and guilt and conviction. I think conviction is the healthy version of guilt and shame. Um, you know, so that just, I understand what you're saying. Um, but I think yeah, I think there's a difference between guilt, shame, and conviction. So I don't really, I mean, I've had that thought plenty of times. I just don't really know how to elaborate on it. But I understand what you're saying. But I think, just to me, saying guilt is a virtue is just a really toxic principle to have. saying that conviction is a virtue. I think that's a great principle to live by. That if you feel convicted about something, it means that you're going to, um, you know, that you should have done otherwise. Guilt and shame is like, it's different. I don't really know how to elaborate on it, but I hear what you're saying. I just think I just don't agree with the terminology, basically. Do you think unconditional love really exists? I don't know. Haven't felt it. Haven't you know, I think I've felt more unconditional love. Well, no. I don't, yeah, I don't know. I don't, that's a good question. Do I think it exists? I think it exists. Do I believe it exists? I don't know. Do you believe, I know I'm behind in the comments, but do you believe there are certain solid truths, or is there a different truth for every person? Oh, I definitely believe that there are concrete solid truths. That goes like, this scale that I was talking about, where atheism, agnosticism, theism, like, there's this scale of beliefs, and with those beliefs come their own philosophies, and you can even make religion out of any one of them, even the religion of spirituality, any of these type, um, any of these things. I think that there are truths to each of them. There are small truths. So there can be subjective truths, and those subjective truths are typically smaller. Just because, the truth of the matter of how you feel in a situation, your feelings are valid. Your feelings are true, but that doesn't mean you are right about the situation. That doesn't mean that's what's going to solve the situation. Like, you could get angry and mad at a situation, and it's like, yes, it is true that you feel angry and mad, but that is very subjective to you. Should you be angry and mad about the situation that has taken place objectively? I don't know. You would have to create a situation for me to be able to observe, or for anyone to be able to observe for that matter. Um, but I do think that there are subjective truths that I think that they are lesser truths, and then the more objective that we examine truth, then the greater that they become. And I would say a greater objective truth is like the truth of science, and the truth of, neuroscience, and that's, gets into the metaphysical. But I do think that in regard to looking at subjective truths and then seeing objective truths through science, is that there are, greater truths and lesser truths. Still truths to the individual, but also there can be objective truths as well. And some people use that as an argument for the existence of God, and I'm like, no, not really, no. Um, I mean, I can follow the philosophical reasoning in that, but there's problems inside of that I'm not gonna get into right now. But certain truths, solid truths. Yeah, I absolutely believe that there are solid truths. And there are, I mean, yeah. So I guess every single point, that certain solid truths or different truths for every person. Yes to all of it. And so I think that there are, in regarding to that scale that I was talking about earlier of, theism, agnosticism, atheism, that there are truths embedded into all of that, that humanity, if they weren't so, and that goes for all of us, close-minded in a lot of ways, that we could benefit from so many truths that's inside that entire scale. Like, on the theism side, there is hope and faith. I'm not talking about belief, I'm talking about hope and faith. I think those are, important truths and principles to hold to humanity. And on the side of atheism, because of their worldview, like I was talking about earlier, that they have to develop a gratitude and joy for this life and for the material world, which I don't think is a bad thing at all. I think humanity could also benefit from that belief. And then, in the middle, agnosticism. There, I guess true agnosticism would be, oh, yes, I do believe in something greater, but I don't believe that we have the ability to understand it. So they fully accept and embrace mystery, which is also needed for, I think, could benefit humanity everywhere, all around. And so, you have in like, atheism doesn't, hard atheism I'm talking about, doesn't have that because they're, solid God does not exist. And then, theism has that, or it's like, we know God exists and we know the mysteries of the world and the universe. God did all of it. And it's like agnosticism goes, actually, there are mysteries that exist that I don't even have the capability of understanding. And I think that's beneficial as well to, there's humility in that. And so there's this entire scale of thinking, and I use I guess belief or non-belief, spiritually as an example, but I think that that can be applied to any scale, like go liberal, Democrat, Republican, conservative. You look at that entire scale, and there are truths in all of it. But people are super closed-minded to that and to the different sides of things, where they just say, no, this is right and this is wrong, rather than what's actually bringing life in all of this and what's bringing death. Um, which that gets into a whole nother topic of conversation. It's just a different way of thinking about things. So I know that's a long drawn out answer to what your question was, but that's what I think in regards to truth. All right, I'm going to skip some, especially Matthew, because he thinks I'm the Antichrist. Um, what up, Nate? Eric, what's going on? You probably got here way earlier. I just forgot to, mention you. Guilt says I did bad. Shame says I am bad. Oh, that's a great distinction. That's fantastic. See, that's what I'm saying, Taylor. You need to be on here with me. Tell people what's up, man. Guilt says I did bad. Shame says I am bad. The first can be beneficial. Shame is always harmful. So, Taylor, hopefully you're still watching. I hope you're still watching and you're putting up with my ranting. But where would conviction fall in that? Where do you think conviction would fall in that? Like, guilt says I did bad. Shame says I am bad. What do you think conviction is? And where do you think it falls? Eric, I have a song out on Bandcamp and dropping another one tomorrow. Nice. Well, send me the link, man. I want to hear it. What does it mean to be lost? What did you mean by that? Oh, yo, Kevlar, dude, been a minute, man. I tried to write you on Facebook and I tried to reply back to your comment. You never got back with me about the comment, and for some reason, I can't write you back on Facebook. Don't know what that's about. Don't know if you blocked me or something like that. Do you believe stars are balls of burning gas? Why wouldn't I believe stars are balls of burning gas? It seems like God is only as strong as your belief. That is not how truth works. If a simple question like why makes you feel uncomfortable about your God, he is not the truth. Is that are you talking to me, Demain? Or are you talking to? Or is that a general statement? Because I completely agree with that statement. It's unbelievably true that God is only as strong as you believe him to be. That goes for especially talking about infernalists, annihilationists, universalists, those different groups of theology. It's like God is only as loving as you believe him to be, that's for sure. Have you seen the new Star Wars movie? Yes, I have. I saw it opening night. Still here. Conviction is the recognizing that you did wrong and that you are better than that, and making the changes to improve. It's beneficial. It's the beneficial side of guilt, the productive side. So would you call I hear what you're saying. So so you're saying conviction in your opinion is like a result of guilt? Or is it kind of like guilt guilt and not wanting to do anything about it, or not believing you can do anything about it is guilt, but conviction is knowing you did something wrong and then actually just saying that you're better than that, just like you're saying. Um the beneficial side of guilt. I like that. Yeah, I'm with you, Simba. Taylor's got some words of wisdom, that's for sure. It doesn't let me put the link here. Yeah, hit me up on Instagram or something. Isaac, it's been a minute, man. Hello. Deleted my Facebook. Oh, okay. Didn't block you. Holidays are hectic. I got you, man. In regards to the star question, you haven't seen a star burning gas. You see a dot of light. A book told you they were burning gas. Oh man, I know where you're going with this. And you believe they are so easily without experiencing them outside a dot of light in a science book. I'm being snarky and joking around. Okay, I hope you're being snarky and joking around because yeah, that's a pretty poor argument for God. And I would hope that you see why. Yeah, Simba, it can also be harmful though. I think you're using virtue too broad a sense. Well, and that's why, Taylor, that's why I was wanting to know what you think about, conviction being the for lack of a better term, light side of that feeling, and guilt being the darker image of that feeling that you have. Um, yeah. You can see that stars are burning gas. It's called a telescope. Oh yeah, this is true. Yeah, I see how that could be, but it's more upside than downside to me. Interesting. You can't see God only in books, but in books you can also see a whale eating a boat. In a real world, that does not work. That's also true. I think I'm having a hard time understanding what you're asking. I'm having a hard time articulating what exactly I'm saying. All right, so let me go back to your comment. You said, still here, conviction is the recognizing that you did wrong and that you are better than that. So I'm agreeing with what you're saying. That conviction is feeling that feeling, that whether you want to call it guilt or conviction, it is that feeling. So you're feeling that feeling. Conviction is the recognizing that you did wrong, aka that feeling. Take a label away from it, and that you are better than that, and making the changes to improve. I agree with that. And then you say it's the beneficial side of guilt, the productive side. So I guess I'm asking you, what's the non-productive side? what's that side of guilt? um it's that same feeling. Well, take the label off of it. It's that same feeling. But would you say guilt is feeling that feeling but doing nothing about it, or I guess having a victim mindset with that feeling? And, oh, I feel guilty but I can't do anything about it. And conviction is feeling that feeling, and actually I'm better than that and I'm going to do something about it. I guess that's what I'm just asking on your opinion on that, or if you agree with that. I don't know if maybe that makes more sense. Maybe you agree with that. I don't know. I'm just wanting to know your thoughts because I like what you're saying. I'm agreeing with what you're saying. No, you cannot see stars of burning gas. You see a lot. And the science book said uh, it's gas burning. You trust the book and the men who wrote the book. The ancients thought they were gods. Um, okay, Kevlar, I gotta know because you said that you were snarky and joking around earlier. Are you still being snarky and joking around, or are you now like have you moved into I'm a I'm a apologetic person for the Bible and I'm being serious? Just curious. Do you believe more in nature or nurture in life generally? Nature versus nurture. Oh man. I don't think it has to be either or. I think it's both and. Um and it's a completely subjective thing. I actually here, check this out. So I wrote a song. It's funny because somebody asked me once. They were like, when Dax's "Dear God" started blowing up. Somebody asked me, "I wonder what your dear God would be," and I I told them actually I did write a song a year prior to Dax's "Dear God" coming out called "Dear God," and the chorus to that song is. Um, For centuries, we've thought about the same sacred things, nature versus nurture, or something else entirely, and we'll run around in circles until the world falls apart, questioning the answers to the questions of our hearts, or circling the questions while the answers fall apart. And so that's the chorus to the song. And so I think that in regards to trying to look at nature versus nurture as something that, oh, it's got to be nature, or oh, it's got to be nurture. It's actually both. And trying to decide what's right and wrong is just running around in a circle. The unproductive side makes you sit in that, uh, and leading to that sinking that becomes shame. It says, I fucked up, so I am fucked up. Embracing your mistakes is your identity, as opposed to using those mistakes to improve who you are. Hard to articulate over text. I think I hear what I mean. I know you only have a certain amount of characters to work with. That's why, which by the way, I think it's going to be next week. I'm going to do this. It's this new platform called See Ya Live. Um, See Ya, but it's spelled C like the letter and then Ya Live. And it's basically this live chat, but I am able to FaceTime you all and talk to you all face to face so that we can actually have these conversations face to face, as well as a chat going on. And I'll orchestrate the whole thing. We can watch YouTube videos together. If somebody wants to say, "Hey, check out this YouTube video," I can pull it up. We can all watch it together. It's this really, really cool platform. I've used it couple of times with my patrons, and we've been able to watch videos together. We've been able to discuss things together, and really dive deep. And I'm gonna start doing it, I think, once or twice a month, maybe, for the public instead of just my patrons. But I think I'll start doing it with my patrons weekly. But that's coming. So hopefully you guys can, you know, be down with that. Um, anyway, yeah, I Taylor. Okay, so yeah, I get what you're saying. I understand it's hard to articulate because obviously we only have a couple of number. Um, so in regard to labels, Taylor, um, you're saying the unproductive side makes you sit in that, um, and then leading that is sitting in shame. It says, if embracing your mistakes is your identity, as opposed to using your mistakes to improve who you are, which would be the productive side. I guess what I'm asking is, you say there's this side and there's that side. So, imagine this is a coin. You're saying there's this side and there's that side. Would you call the coin guilt? Or would you say the productive side, to put a label on it, is conviction? The unproductive side is guilt, or would you just call all of it guilt? You know, I mean, do you think there's a distinction between conviction and guilt, or is it just kind of like it's pretty much the same thing? As opposed to using those mistakes to improve who you are. Hard to it. Okay, that's I already read that like 400 times. Nah, some fellas said they can see stars burning gas, and I couldn't let it slide. I was being snarky until somebody said something dumber than the question. What did they say that was dumber than the question? Oh, take a telescope and look at the sun. Gotcha. Yes, I did say that. I mean, Captain America voice. I love that Marvel reference. Language. What was that? That was the opening to. That was the Avengers that was in New York. Ultron, wasn't that? No, that wasn't Ultron. This was Loki. I forget which one that was. It was in New York though. Whatever is most helpful to you. I think it could mean different things to different people. It's not that black and white, I don't think. The gray Jedi, so to speak. Yo, gray Jedi, Taylor, dude, we could have we could have a long conversation about Star Wars because I don't know if I've talked to you about it, but yo, I have gone like full Star Wars nerd, gotten into all the fandom. I just watched all of the movies over again. And yo, yo, I totally get that reference. The Gray Jedi. Totally get it. Balance. Dude, I am with it. Ultron. I thought it was Ultron. It's crazy. Just going on the Star Wars kick. It's crazy to me how much from rewatching the prequels, rewatching the originals, and then I saw episode 9, and then I watched 7 and 8 as well. How much the Jedi religion is so much like the indoctrinated religion of Christianity and the church, and how how fucked it all is. Like I rewatched the prequels and I'm like, oh my god, these Jedi. This is I felt like as a kid, obviously I was like, oh, I want to be on the light side of the force. And now I'm watching it and I'm like, dude, these Jedi were no better than the Sith and all of that. Um, I'm pretty blown away, and I'm like, oh man. So I don't know if you've had the same thoughts, Taylor, but I could talk about it for a while. I'm like loving it. Like as I'm starting to study now, I haven't talked about it yet, but as I'm starting to study like the difference between dualistic thinking and non-dualistic thinking. I'm like, yo, the Gray Jedi got some stuff right, man. I gotta send you the Gray Jedi code. It's so damn good. It's real life. I've actually seen the Gray Jedi code. It's legit. It's totally real life. Like, I'm not one to like buy like fandom stuff and like put a poster on my wall, but the Gray Jedi code, I'm like, I'd buy a poster and put it on my wall. Really? Hero with a Thousand Faces. I have that book on my bookshelf and I have yet to read it. Oh my God, I need to read it. I'm rewatching the Clone Wars. See, I used to think the Clone Wars was my favorite Star Wars movie. That's like kind of changed. Prequels are so good. Oh my God, watching the prequels over again, they're just so good. I feel like the Empire and the Jedi were both messed up. Only true. Um, oh, where did this go? Oh, dude, you deleted it. What's up with that? Guilt is something that society lives under. If that wasn't the case, Thanos would be a hero, not a villain. Explain what you mean, Demame. I think I follow you. I don't know. Gotta head to work. Great conversation, man. Talk soon. All right, Taylor. I'll hit you up soon over text. Have a good day at work. Day, night. Have a good time at work, man. Talk to you soon. I think you've answered this in past lives, but you said your point of view was evolving. So I thought I'd ask you again. Do you think pornography is destructive? That's one of those things where, as I talk about, or as you mentioned, my view is evolving. I don't think it's not a black and white thing. I used to say, yes, absolutely, under every situation, pornography is destructive. I think it's totally subjective to the individual and the situation that they are in. I think in regards to religion and spirituality, and well, not even in regards to that, because the sexual stuff is often so much repressed. And it's bad. All of it's bad. All of it's bad until you're married. Then it's magically all good. Um, I think that it, there's there. Let me say this. I do think that there can be benefit to it, depending on the individual and what they need and where they're at in life psychologically. Um, you know, it's just not black and white anymore. I don't see it as something black and white. Um, eh, I've done a lot of research on that. Um, the psychological benefits, and honestly, a majority of the people that I see that are against it are Christians. And every article that I read is a Christian article about why not to look at it. The A huge majority of the people that it's like actually this has some sort of benefit are people that are not indoctrinated with religion. Um, and I've read both sides, and I think there's good points to be made on both sides. But I don't think it's a black and white thing. I think you really got to look at yourself and know. I think you got to know your needs, and you need to look at your life and what you need in that moment. It could be good one day and not the next. Um, I do think, well, I'll say this. If it's an addiction, and this goes for anything, you know, pornography can become an addiction. Netflix can become an addiction. Video games can become an addiction. I'm not for addictions at all. I don't think, well, I have an entire thing, philosophy on addiction, but I'm not going to get into that. Um, Yeah, if it turns into an addiction, it's absolutely destructive. It's incredibly destructive. But if it's not an addiction and it's managed, and you know when it's appropriate and when it's not, then I don't think it's not black and white. That's how my view has come into. Disregard my previous comment. I don't know what you. It was my pride. Well, I appreciate you pointing out your pride. That says a lot. Really appreciate that, man. When it probably deduced a point from my. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. It says a lot about your character. I respect that a lot. Thanos wanted balance without the guilt of what that implies. I'm still not seeing what you're saying. I know you only have limited characters to work with, but I'm still not completely seeing what you're saying. Prequel trilogy was easiest my favorite because original trilogy and modern trilogy with Rey both don't have Jedi, as Council Jedi is basically extinct. But in prequel, Jedi is in large numbers. Yeah, but that's not the reason I liked it so much. I liked it. Um, I thought it was very well put together. I thought the prequels were very well put together, and the original was very well put together. But I don't know which one's my favorite, but I just know that very much enjoyed the I very much enjoyed the prequels, and I do like the fact that there are more Jedi involved in the prequels, and that there's a lot more action. Have you read the epic Gilgamesh? No, I have not. You should check out the book Cupid's Poisoned Arrow. I think it would help you with your perspective. I think you'd appreciate the science and spiritual aspect of the book. It's great. Well, what's the book? So, is the book along my opinion of what I just said, or is the book against it? Like, it's like, you should not do this. Um, if it was along my opinion, um, I I guess I'm not super interested, but if it's not along my opinion, then I am interested. I like hearing other perspectives. You say you're not against drugs like marijuana. You say you're not against drugs like marijuana and tobacco because you're all about moderation. But do you believe it is possible to use crack and meth in moderation, and you against those? And are you against those drugs? Um, are they bad? Yeah, yeah, absolutely against those drugs. Marijuana can be psychologically and medically beneficial. Tobacco, I think, is appropriate depending on tobacco is one of those things where it's like in moderation kind of thing. Um, but I don't see where is the benefit of crack and meth. Maybe I'm just uneducated. I don't think I am in this respect. But I, I don't see any benefit to them. I just, I have not known a, yeah, I just don't, I don't see it. So I'm not for those drugs. Yeah. And there could always be that one person to prove me wrong. And if they couldn't, then good for you. Great. But yeah. Do you ever doubt the things that science has taught us, like the things you can't see, touch, or feel? Example, like the things only astronauts can explore. Uh no, I don't really doubt the things that science has taught us. Only when it gets into the metaphysical, then obviously even the scientists have doubt. But most of those things can be observed through particle physics and obviously through the scientific method of experimentation. So most of that, well, what I see, I don't doubt. But in regards to like string theory, yeah, of course I doubt it. It's only a theory. Scientists doubt it. In regards to the Big Bang theory, and well, I guess this gets into God and creation as well. We know something happened. We just don't really know what. And we know what happened after, but we don't know what was before. And Stephen Hawking, actually, he was working on a scientific theory right before he died that uh, went to prove that there's apparently a science behind that there was something before the Big Bang. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't really doubt the things of science until it gets into more metaphysical questions. What is your philosophy and ways of thinking as it pertains to maintaining relationships with someone of unequal faith in you? Do you believe it's easier for a non-religious person to do so? That's a great question. You know, I guess my philosophy in that is is more of a philosophy and has to do with philosophy. And I say that because there's a lot of thinking that if you're not of the same beliefs, this is the thinking that I grew up with. If you're not really of the same beliefs, it's going to be hard to really connect with someone relationally. And I think that if your system of thinking, if your beliefs, if that is what binds a relationship together, that relationship is bound to fall apart. And a lot of people would disagree with me on that because they say, the spiritual bond is the most powerful bond. And it's like, is it? Because I have some pretty great relationships with people that, I'm don't connect with them on, this deep spiritual level. And so I don't think that's the deepest point of connection. I think connection in like, your emotions, the physical connection or spiritual connection, they all, can connect people. But if you're depending on, man, I just think the person of who we are, like the person of you, the person of me, I am more than the journey that I'm going through right now of what do I believe, figuring out spiritual, deconstructing religion. I am more than my chronic Lyme disease that I have. I am more than my geographical location, and I am more than the culture I grew up. I'm greater than that. And I think that our connection with people, with human beings, can be greater than that, despite what we believe, despite, our cultural journey, background, whatever it might be. Like we have this, I think for the people that think that we can't have, a relationship with someone where we don't think the same on the same faith. Um, I think they have a very shallow view of humanity. I think they have a very shallow view of what humanity uh, is on a deeper level and how we connect on a deeper level. Now, some people might call that spiritual. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that I have connected with people that consider themselves not spiritual. And it's that connection that takes place where it's like, I feel like we've been best friends for forever. I don't understand that. Some people might say that's spiritual, some people might not. I don't know. But I don't depend on these things. I don't look at these things of, whether I'm not looking for somebody. It helps to have somebody understand where I'm at. It helps to have somebody, see my point of view. But I have been able to explain and expound on my understanding and my point of view to someone who is not at that point, who doesn't understand it at all. until I explain it to them, and then I feel seen, I feel heard. And even though they're not, of equal or unequal faith, um, I feel seen and heard by them. Like they do understand me, even though they're not on the same walk, they're not on that same journey. Now, I've also talked with people who are on the same walk, who are on the same journey. And that always, it feels good to feel like you're not alone in that. Um, it's like, okay, somebody is, walking the same journey with me. But I don't think that you have to depend on those things to actually connect with people. So, do you believe it's easier for a non-religious person to do so? Um, Possibly, maybe because they're not weighed down with religious thinking and with dogmatic thinking of, like, here's an example that comes to mind is that, that biblically speaking, in Christianity, we're referred to sons of God, both guys, girls, whatever, both referred to sons of God, and that there is a family, that we are of a spiritual family. Now, some people look at that spiritual family as Christians, the people that are saved. Some people look at that spiritual family as humanity. Um, and so the non-religious people will always look at, regardless of what I just said in Christianity, I just use that as kind of an example for what I'm about to say. The non-religious people will always look at, if we are a family, the only race being human, right? That is a thinking more followed by a non-spiritual person, typically, generally speaking. To whereas the religious person would say, my family is with those that hold the same beliefs. My family is those that, this. And so it creates a barrier there. And so a lot more religious and dogmatic people will create a barrier between them and somebody else. So I don't think it's not like foolproof, but yes, I do think it could be easier because of the generalized worldview that a non-religious person has. It could be easier for a non-religious person to have a relationship with somebody that is not of the same like-mindedness that they have. The book is about healthy sexuality. I like it. Have you watched Aaron Abke's video on healthy sexuality? It's a very interesting video. Really, can be destructive when it comes to romantic relationships. Talks about porn addicts as well, and the negative effects it has on the brain. Wow, I definitely want to check that out. Feel free to like send me a link to that or something. I read it this past month. It radically changed my perspective on pornography and sex in general. Fantastic book, 10 of 10. Hey, Shaler, send me a link to that. I'm very interested. Send me a link to that, 100%. Really do want to look into that. What's your new job, Nate? Bartender. Be Life implies that there is no proof. There is proof that we are upgraded monkeys. Man, speaking of this new job, I'm stoked for it, man. You all know I love deep conversation. I just feel like bartenders, I've never bartended before, so I'm going to go through training and stuff, but I'm looking forward to it because I'm so into deep conversation, and I would love to bartend and have deep conversations with people. I'd love it. That'd be awesome. Absolutely. Thank you for voicing that the way you did. I agree. Well, great. Good thing. Cody, that's the first time, I think that's the first time you've talked in this chat. Is this your first live? I don't think it's your first live. I recognize your name before. I don't think I said hi to you though. So hi. As a musician who both write and sings all of your songs, how do you feel about artists using ghostwriters for their lyrics and singing them as if they're I hate it. I hate it. It's I don't understand it because I'm such a man, I think music is just an expression of who you are. And I don't know how people can willingly say that they're expressing who they are without with singing somebody else's song. I don't understand it. I know that I couldn't do it unless it was a song like like the Lady Gaga cover that I did with "I'll Never Love Again." I feel like I could have written that song, and so if somebody wrote that song for me and said, "I wrote this song for you. I want this to be yours. I want you to sing it," I do it because I feel it was so close to my heart that I'm like, I feel like I could have written this. But to just an average song where it's like, "Hey, somebody, I wrote this for you, and I want you to sing it, and here you go." No, I wouldn't be into that. Have you seen the? Have you seen the? No, I have not. Chappelle acceptance speech. Oh, I saw this on YouTube. I didn't watch it though. Huh. I'll have to check it out. What's your take on marrying someone who does not belong to your religion or does not worship Christ, even though you worship him? So marriage is a different story for me. I realize everything that I just said about relationships is what I said, but I was talking about relationships, friends, family, connecting with people in general. But when it comes to marriage, I do think you all need to be close to the same, very similar in your beliefs. Um, if not similar, you all need to have an open mind to, hey, it is okay that you believe or don't believe this. And it is okay that I do. Because if it's not, and the whole time one person is secretly in the prayer closet hoping that the other will come to God, it's just not good. It's just not good. And so I think that if you can both have an open mind and say, our connection is deeper than that, then I think it'll work. But like I said, if one partner is just in the prayer closet hoping that he comes to God or hoping that that'll be the case or whatever, it's not going to work out. It could you'll just be unhappy. Hi, Nate. Hey, that's my name. What's going on, man? New here, Smooth Gaming. That's what's up, man. Glad you're here. Glad to see you here. Do you mind? I've seen your videos reacting with your father. You've probably said it so many times, but where do you stand? Are you a follower and believer of Christ, or is your views different? My views are different. And I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what my entire YouTube channel is about. So I'm guessing this is the very first. I'm assuming that you haven't watched any of my videos and that this is the very first thing that you've seen of me, which is totally fine. Welcome to the live streams that I do, where we talk about very deep philosophical, theological, atheistic, skeptical subjects. Glad to see you here. Hope you stick around. But yes, I am not of the same viewpoint. Andrew, you say, okay, thank you. Did that help? Was that discouraging, encouraging? Do you agree? Do you not agree? I'd love to hear some feedback on that. Because obviously I'm not married. So do you believe that violence in video games is causing violence in real life and causes psychological damage to people? As a gamer who plays Call of Duty and other games, I strongly disagree and would love to hear your opinion. Oh man. I think anybody that plays video games and that they adopt they like a belief is instilled in them for violence based off of a video game. Uh, One, I don't think that's the kid or the video game's problem. I think that's the parent's problem. And I think that that parent is letting them play those games a little too young. Because if that is instilling beliefs in those children, those people, and even if it's not a kid, even if it's an older person, if that video game is instilling some sort of belief in them or instilling something in them, a coercion towards violence, that's not the video game. There's something wrong with that person's psyche. Um, taking away violent video games will not help solve crime, will not help violence decrease. Um, that's just not the case, in my opinion. Um, so yeah, I don't think it's the video game. I think it's the parent. And if it's not the parent, if it's an older person, then there's something a little jacked up with that person's psyche. Is death a mistress or a demon? I would say mistress. Yeah, metaphor for should you fear death or not. I know it's a metaphor, but I love the metaphor. I would say mistress, and I would say no, you shouldn't fear death at all. Death is scary. Death in regards to you grow old and die. For me, when I had a panic attack that sent me to the hospital and I thought I was going to die, coming up on 2 years ago, that was scary as shit. That was the scariest moment of my life. I thought I was going to die. I was absolutely terrified. I didn't want to die. I didn't, I didn't do the things I wanted to do in life. So yeah, I was terrified. I didn't know I was scared of death until I was faced, had to look at death in the face. And it was still absolutely terrifying. So yeah, but I do think in the long run, death should be your friend. It's a mistress. What advice can you give somebody struggling to be more disciplined? Oof. Oof. All right. I got a buddy of mine. I don't know if he'll see this, watch this video, or what, or watch this live. He probably won't, but really close friend of mine that he is not very disciplined. Um, and the reason being is because he wants his feelings to tell him what to do. He says, I'm not motivated to do this. So he wants his feelings to tell him what to do. If you want to be more disciplined, one, you need to know what you want. You need to decide. You need to absolutely know what you want. And then you need to go for it, regardless of how you feel. Uh, it's that simple for me. It's always been that simple for me. I've always seen what I want. And the times when I feel like doing it, it's a gift. The times when I don't feel like doing it, it feels like a burden, but I still know what I want. And so I still do it. And that's something that it's taken patience, it's taken practice. But for those people who don't feel super disciplined, I'm like, you got to know what you want, because there could be something in you that it's like, oh, this feels difficult to do this. Well, do you even want it? Like, do you want that goal, or was it just kind of an idea? So you got to know what you want, and then once you figure out what you actually want, just whatever you feel, don't depend on your feelings and emotions to tell you what to do. Just go after what you want regardless. That's the best advice that I can give to you. Talk to yourself a lot. What do you mean? I talk to myself a lot? Hmm. Along the journey, I'm reading your comments. It's good. Hi, I can't stay because I'm not home, but hope this live goes well. I'm confused as it's not Friday, but I hope the change is for a good reason. Have a good one, Misfits. Yes. I guess I'll explain to you all. I'll explain on the Discord, Luli, what's going on. But shouldn't a fully grown adult male or female be able to sell sex for money? It's the world's oldest profession. What? All right, guys, I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes. Couple more minutes. This has been a good live stream. We've talked about some really awesome stuff. Lucas B, what's up, man? I'm in a lot of pain right now. My favorite person left me and I cannot see her. When I'm on my own, all I can think about is her. What do I do? Don't stress about it, man. You're doing everything right. When that happens, when somebody leaves you like that, who's your favorite person in life, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. It's going to suck to no end. Um, obviously, I don't know the situation, but you're grieving, and you got to let yourself grieve. You gotta you gotta let yourself grieve. You gotta let yourself. Don't run from the pain. Um, but it's that is one of those things that's going to take time. And we always want to embrace the joyful moments in life. But we always we always want to embrace the joyful moments in life and don't learn from those lessons. And we never want to embrace the painful moments in life, but we always learn from those lessons. And there's lessons in both joy and pain, but the lessons that we can learn in pain when we embrace them are obviously greater. And it's the same thing with joy. So it's going to take time. You're doing everything right. It sucks. You're going to be in pain. Um, and give it time, but embrace it. Allow yourself to grieve. It's totally good. Totally fine. What's the name of your podcast? The Philosophical Misfit Podcast. I feel you, man. Thank you, dude. No problem. May I ask, what was it or what happened that made you want to have a different view or question everything? Um, it wasn't a want. It wasn't really a choice that I had. It started when I had a nervous breakdown. Started going insane. And lost belief. Realized I never had belief. I should put it that way. So I've been deconstructing ever since. So it wasn't like I woke up one day and I was like, I think I'm going to try atheism. Just kind of happened. Well, don't give up on her, but you also can't run after her. If she doesn't run back after you, then she's not worth it. I know that might suck to hear, but that is the truth. If you don't want to give up on her, don't give up on her. But if she is giving up on you, you got to give up on her. And that's not something you want to hear, but that is the truth of the matter. You seem to get more and more viewers as months go on. Love you much, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do seem to be getting more viewers, which is amazing. I can't tell because I still have hundreds of people unsubscribing to me every month because they were subscribed to, for Pastor React stuff. When that was still on this channel. So yeah, but wow, yeah. So it's good that they're unsubscribing, but my subscriber count, it hasn't gone up. I just keep losing subscribers. So Sun Tzu. Huh. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna close up the live stream. Um, it has been a fantastic chat, and I appreciate all of you for staying. There's been a number of you. Simba, you stayed the entire time, man. Freaking stoked about that. Really glad that you stayed. Demame as well. You guys are amazing. No, Cassie. Oh my God! Literally at the very end. Ah, bummer. Cass, Cassie, come on. Um, yep, that's a bummer. But there is always next week. I will post. Keep an eye out. Hit the notifications button. I'm gonna start posting on the community part of my channel. Um, the days that I will be doing live stream, because like I said, I just got a job and my schedule will be changing around. So some days they'll be on Fridays, sometimes they'll be on other days. So yeah, just keep an eye out on the community section of my channel. And if you get notifications from me, or if you hit the notification bell, then you'll know what days. So be sure to do that, so that you can know what days that I'll be doing live. I know I typically do them on Fridays, so I'll try to keep that to as much as possible. But chances are I'll be working weekends, so it'll be either Wednesday or Thursday. So I wish you all the best. I thank you all for sticking around. Cassie, I'm so sorry, but you can watch it. It was a great live stream. Well, I got to see you and say, have a lovely weekend. Just a tad bit late to the party. Yeah. Well, I hope you have a lovely weekend as well, and hope to see you next week as well. Yeah, Shayla, you said check out that book. Send me a link to that book. I really wanna check it out, and I know I'll forget it unless you send me a link. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that is it for tonight's live session. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Appreciate you guys. You misfits are amazing. So, yeah. See you in the next one. Peace.